What's up? So by show of hands at home, how many of you work? How many people have jobs? Part-time, on the weekend, seasonal, farm work, immigrants, whatever. If you work, this video is for you. You have to stop working. Yeah. And you can't just do it. Because if you do it, you'll die. You'll starve. No one will help you. They'll think that you're crazy. But guess what happens when the majority stops working? Imagine this. What if everyone stopped working? You'd still get what you needed, because the businesses would be supporting the people, right? If we could get everyone to do this, the businesses would be in support. The only way for businesses to get ahead is for the money to be stopped. The only way for people to get ahead is for the money to be stopped. I made videos before about the ridiculousness, like the show, of money itself. And I got a couple of comments from people telling me that I'm stupid, that money is a real thing. I don't mean that we don't produce it and make an actual piece of paper, but it's not actually worth anything, especially the dollar amount printed on it, if you know anything about inflation and deflation. To that guy. Anyway, yeah, so here's my thought behind not working. The machine keeps going. It is derived from your tax dollars, whether you buy something at the store or you work and they take the money from you. And on top of that, they control you with this money. They make sure that everything costs money. Even the necessities that you have to buy. There are things you don't have an option to buy. Food, utilities, clothing, shelter, a place to put your things, storage, garage, garden, whatever you need to store. And then there are things that go further, like education and freedom. All these things that they say you have to pay for, that even beyond Christians thinking it's a God-given right, is just a right human beings have in general. Not that any God is given to us, but freedom and the ability to be healthy and happy is not a God-given right. It is a human right, period. Humans have been so gracious enough to pass that on to animals, which I think is awesome. Animals cannot choose for themselves, but we're getting a little closer to being nicer to them. I guess the biggest thing, and number 3, would be that they stupefy you with this money. They make you believe that you need it for those things I mentioned. Now, the necessities, the food, the shelter, the clothing, things that you need to be alive and to be healthy, to survive the elements and prosper and be able to live your life, be clean, cook, things like that. I find it scary that no one picks up on the fact that they control you with this piece of paper, which, let me reiterate, is worth nothing. It's worth absolutely nothing. Only the value that you give it. I give it no value. But in this society today, which every single last one of you continues to let control you, that's the way it is. So imagine what would happen if companies weren't fueled by making money. If they were fueled by the fact that they would be helping people and providing necessities for others instead of making money It could easily work without the paper. And we could use those trees for other things, like making oxygen for us and cleaning the atmosphere, which they do. Now, I also want to bring up a point that I find very important. Religion. Religion is one thing that drives money. It's hard to get anyone who's in religion, any religion, to give up money, as supporting your religion monetarily is always either a commandment or something that you're told to do. Like in Christianity, tithing is just a commandment. You're supposed to give 10% of your income to the church. Why God needs your money, I don't know. He's all powerful and he does not need your money. If there was someone who he could pay off with this money to save us all, I could understand that. But it's just not possible, because money is worth nothing, and all that hocus pocus doesn't exist. But so the moral of this story is that if you just continue to say, I want things to change, I know this doesn't make sense, I know it doesn't make sense, I'm frustrated, the fact that I need this money for everything, including food for mine and my kids' bellies, clothes for mine and my kids' backs, electricity, water, sewage, trash, internet, phones. You need these things. You need these things so that you can educate yourself, so that you can be aware of what's happening around you, so that you can survive and be healthy. Those things are just things you have to have. But you are so frustrated because you have to have enough money for all these things. Jobs only pay so much money. If you go to school, you end up owing. Who knows how much you might owe, how much you might never pay back, what might go on to your children's credit reports, you know what I'm saying? So there's all of this. It even goes as far as your education, right? They start you out real early, trying to get you to get a student loan and take out credit cards. Why would the government, why would institutions want you to do that? Because they don't want you to have money. The money, it's a big contest. The money, they want it to be theirs. But you need some for yourself. So does the person next to you and the person next to them. So does everyone. How could there possibly be enough? Well, there's not enough. Because when the government takes out a loan from the Federal Reserve, that's what it is, it's a loan, it already has debt attached to it. The money has not been made. They only made enough money to give you the loan. And that's how it's happened since the very first loan was taken out from the government to the Federal Reserve. That's exactly how it happened. The first loan, they went, hey man, we really got to start up America. Let's kickstart this and give us $1 million. The government goes, okay, or the Federal Reserve, okay, I'll give you $1 million and you have to pay me back 15% of that. Okay, yeah, we'll do that. Where do they think that money is coming from? Where's the 15% going to come from? You've only made $1 million. Money can't just be made in the process. I mean, I guess if you make some at home, it could, but then you'll go to jail for that. Only money that they make is okay, even though anyone could just make it, and that's the problem with it. So where does this money come from? It doesn't. It puts you into slavery. You will always be working and working and working, and the money just circulates. It circulates. It doesn't become more. It's always the same amount, okay? And the debt will never go away. The debt can never be repaid because the money to cover the debt has not been created. And if you can just create money like that, therein lies your problem. So for anybody who doesn't understand an economic system is a system with minimal waste. Preferably no waste. I mean, with a perfect economic system, you would have zero waste. Zero waste. Everything would be accounted for. You would have everything that you needed, and nothing would be wasted. In a true economic system, you would harness free power. You would filter water. Everyone would do it themselves. There would be no big industry because that produces waste. So to think that you're in an economic system is just laughable. If you're in economics class right now in a school somewhere being taught economics, tell your teacher to fuck off. Okay? Why don't you grab your dictionary and read off what economic means? And then ask them, how are you possibly teaching us this? Because I went through the same thing in school, not understanding what the fuck the teacher was saying. I'm sitting there going, what? An economic system is what? And how are you trying to sell what we have as an economic system? I watched my mother struggle, even with government assistance, as a single mom with 3 children, with a husband, ex-husband, who was trying to kill her. It's not easy surviving. It's not easy for some people. Everyone doesn't have it made. Everybody doesn't stay together. It's not all magic and peaches and cream. There are going to be the majority of people who are in the normal situation of stress, of struggle, of need. That's just the way life is. That's just the way life is. We, at our fingertips, have the opportunity to change all of that. Because, let's be honest, life is what you make it. And if it's unfair, it's only because we let it become that way. And we let it stay that way. People who think that unfairness is just a part of life is retarded. Just because nature is a certain way, we are human beings. Okay? Don't take away the spectacular chemical reactions that happen in our brains and the synapses that jump from one to another that allow us to think logically and reasonably, and for us to make decisions based upon our senses and our surroundings and pure deep thought, not instinct and what we have to have now and never thinking past the next 5 seconds, because that's what animals do. Even though we are a species of animal, we are an evolved species that, while I don't think we're the only sentient animals that are alive, we are the evolved kind that have a brain large enough and developed enough for us to make moral and ethical decisions, which I think comes to my next point. Why are you all letting this happen? If you see your life as stressful, frustrating, depressing, anxiety-causing, suicidal, homicidal, on the verge, if you find your life to be so full of all of that, and you don't want that to go to your children, why would you teach them this money system? Why would you teach them this monetary system? Why don't you teach them revolution? Why don't we raise a generation of revolutionaries? Why don't we do that? Because if we did that, if we taught our children that they will one day save us from this money crisis, that the only crisis we have is that money exists. That's the crisis. The crisis is that we are controlled by this thing that is nothing. If it was gone tomorrow, nothing would stop happening. People would still go to work. People would still make things that they needed to make. There would still be teachers. There are so many people who do things because they love them so much, or they care about the people they're helping. Maybe they don't fall in love with the act, but they love the people that are getting the help enough to do the act itself. Plenty of those people exist. As a matter of fact, I'm one of those people. I know that you're one of those people. Whether you like to draw, or you like to fix things, or you like to clean up, or you like to take care of kids, it doesn't matter what you personally are driven and love to do. I promise you that other people will be affected by it in a good way. Okay? So when the money ends and you're not required by law to do this thing that they try to say that your time away from your children, your time away from educating yourself, your time away from prospering, your time away from making real success, right? Being healthy and happy and having kids that do the same. That's what real success is. So when you're not doing those things because you're working, they're trying to say that they can compensate you by a wage, what you're going to make per hour, or your salary, right? And that somehow pays for all those other things you're not able to do because you have to do this one thing, make money. How does that make sense in your head? I mean, it doesn't make sense in my head. I want to know, and please, somebody comment on this. I want to know how you make sense of this act of making money. How does it better you? How does it better you? Because if money didn't exist, you would still get those things. Potatoes would still pop out of the ground. Rain would still fall from the sky. We still have magnets to make free energy with. We have so many things to make free energy with. And even if we don't have free energy, we have many fuel sources. Hemp, other seeds, nuts, urine, for Christ's sake. The people in, I don't want to say it because it might be wrong, but in another country, two little girls made a generator out of their own urine. So I don't understand why, one, we're killing the planet to do these things that government already knows that we have sources of non-harmful and completely sustainable ways to fuel our vehicles, to get water, to fuel our houses, to fuel our airplanes, to power our internet, to do everything that we need. We already have all of that without costing any money, okay? But they have money. They like money because the more money you have, the more control you have. So they know they have all this money. They have all the control. But what happens when all the money's gone? They'd be equal just like us. They would be no better than us, and they don't want that. They want to be better than you because they know they're better than you. They know they're better than you because they have more money than you. You see how that makes no sense either? The kindest, most intelligent person on the planet could be the poorest person on the planet, and their voice would never be heard. How just is that? How just is that? But the most corrupt, most harmful, that person, because they have all the money, will be the one who spreads their word everywhere. Yeah. That's what money does. That's the only thing money does. It creates the illusion of ownership and power. And it's not. It's not. Just because you have been taught this does not make it right. It's not right. It's wrong. It's backwards. It's everything that right is not. You know what's right? People getting the food they need, the health care they need, the education they need, the housing they need, the help that they need, the friendship and the time with their families that they need. That all doesn't cost anything. Nothing has ever costed anything. And before humans were on the face of this earth, do you think animals fought over who was going to get money? It wasn't here. They all survived off of the land like we should be doing. And they helped each other. Yeah, they help each other, believe it or not. The system that they have, that one animal eats another, keeps everything in check. Look it up. It's an ecosystem. It's exactly what it is. The food chain. Everything is give and take, and you have to be honest with yourself. What are they taking, and what are they really allowing you to give? What you should be giving is everything you have available, everything possible from within you and from what you can make. What they're taking from you is all of that, and your imagination and your creativity by dousing you with fluoride and chemicals and fake sugars and things that just dumb you down and stress you more and make you sick. How could you possibly worry about stopping money or making life better if you're so sick? Think about it, people. Think about it. Use your brains. I know you can. Don't make me do this alone. This is not a one-person job. This is an everybody job. Help me. Revolution has not stopped. And if you don't see why I'm doing this, read the rest of my videos. Just watch them. Read what I've written down in the description, because I'm going to explain to you exactly what I want from this revolution. I want everything to be over. All the poisoning, all the lies, all the misconception, all the bullshit. I want it to end. I don't want my children to have the burdens I have, and I'm not just going to try and stop one thing. I'm going to try and end all of it. So my kids, your kids, our grandkids, their kids, can have a life worth living, a life of prosperity, a life where they're happy, where they have a chance to pursue their dreams. Because guess what? When money stops existing, you can fucking do that. You can do that. It doesn't matter if your dream, when money existed, only paid $2.50 an hour. It doesn't matter if you couldn't afford to do that job. It doesn't matter if you're 4 or 5 freaking kids that your husband or your wife left you with. It doesn't matter, because you You're not strapped down by that. You make your own schedule now. You can figure out when you want to take care of your kids without worrying about how you're going to pay for your bills, because the free energy takes care of all that. You don't have to pay your bills. You don't have bills. You don't have to buy food. What you're not growing yourself, people next door are growing for you, because that's how it would be. Things would change. When there's not money, people aren't after each other all the time. It's not a big contest. You would be able to do whatever it is that makes you happy. And the things that you need to do, and the things you need to do would change. Your whole life, attitude, and way of thinking would change. If you can imagine that, if you could even just imagine that for half a second, that it could possibly happen, you need to stand up right now. Because if you can think it, you can do it. There's nothing that you can't do. And with your brothers and sisters behind you, you can do whatever you want. Everything is possible. If you can imagine it, you can do it. It's that simple. People have been doing it for centuries. Would you have any idea what people from the Stone Age would have thought about our internet? Impossible. Magic. Something they could have possibly dreamed of past their imagination. But we've done it. We've done beyond what you can think is possible. And in 100,000 years, what we can't even imagine possible, our generations after us would have already done. Don't limit yourself, and stop letting them limit you. Stop. Spread this. We need to get as many people as we can to stop working. If we stop this machine, we can make our own demands, and they will have no leverage to speak with. None. Take their money, burn it. Take their power. They don't deserve it. They're lying to you, they're cheating you, they're swindling you, they're harming you. And what's worse, they're doing it to our children. To the ones who don't know any better. To the ones who are so trusting. Stop it, and stop it now. Stop working.